sign. Not a good sign at all. And supercell looking structures with some of these. We're going to have Jim take a break, get a little coffee in him, take a breather, and show you the forecast and what we are dealing with. Our tornado condition index, it goes from 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest threat. We have a 7. So you're talking about numerous tornadoes. You're talking long track tornadoes potentially, and also those supercells that I was mentioning. And even if you're not in the 7, having a 5, having a 3, this is going to be a very dangerous day, not only for the tornadic threat, but also the wind threat. Notice 75 mile per hour or greater winds. So you could have, widespread wind damage. Jim was showing you the line that was kind of bowing out all along that. You could have significant wind damage with trees falling on homes, on cars, power lines, shingles getting ripped off roofs. There's all sorts of things that can happen, not to mention hail that will be big enough to cause dents in your roof or on your car. And it's going to be playing out through the entire day. That's what Jim was kind of alluding to, is that as we go through the day, some of those parameters are going to go up even with that daytime heating. Look how our parameters turn red towards the coast. That means that they're getting higher as we head around 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And within this type of a situation, you're going to have very strong winds. These could be individual cells, kind of like we're dealing with now. And then on top of that, you have the flash flood threat with 1, 2, even 3-inch-an-hour rainfall rates that will cause flash flooding. No one can handle that. Notice we're now around 4 o'clock. You still have the system ongoing. You're going to have severe weather in Alabama, Mississippi, Shreveport. This is the upper level energy that is really helping fire things off. Also, you have the jet energy and the low level jet energy. It's all converging on the south, giving us this severe weather. 9 o'clock at night, we're going to bed. You still have to be weather aware from Alabama down into Florida. That's the upper level energy that is hanging behind. And as we go into the overnight, early morning hours, there's still the potential for tornadoes, even into tomorrow. It's not going to be as intense and as fierce, but that threat is still there. There's not only a threat, when you're talking about a supercell with a tornado, but on a larger scale with this system, just widespread winds, 40, 50 miles an hour. These are the ones you kind of feel when you go outside and the trees are blowing like that, opposed to those acute, intense winds that are within a thunderstorm. So we've got it coming from every angle here. Then the flood threat. Most people die from water. We're talking flash flooding. So if you're along the I-10 corridor going up, to Montgomery, even Jackson, this is where we have the highest likelihood of flooding. But notice that flood threat, it extends all the way up into Paducah, where we have that deeper green. And this is rain on top of already saturated grounds. And so that means that you don't need a lot in order to get flooding. I mean, it's been so wet in the south. Jackson, over the past 24 hours, we've seen 5, maybe plus inches of rain. Back towards Vicksburg, along the Mississippi River, we have definitely seen that 5 to 8 inches just in the last 48 hours, and now we're dumping a lot more on top of it. So that's why we're really concerned about the flood threat. Jordan, Jackson, southbound is where we really kind of have that 7. Northbound, yeah, it's a 4, maybe a 3, but you still have to pay very close attention to the weather, be weather aware all day long.
Well, think about just what happened yesterday in Jackson.
Not only with the tornadic threat, but also this wind damage threat. Wind gusts 75 miles an hour or greater, very likely here. Louisiana, Mississippi, on into Alabama as well. We're going to watch this line make its way through the south. It takes the entire day, and in fact goes into the overnight hours too. There's a very significant flash flooding threat. We've already seen a flash flood emergency, which is the highest warning you can possibly get. That means you need to go to higher ground immediately. That flash flooding is happening, and we had feet of water into homes and people getting taken to shelters. Wind damage is going to be huge. This line coming through Montgomery down to Mobile around 4 o'clock, that could cause significant wind damage. And then within that, I know that these cells don't look too dangerous kind of on their own, but that little hook that Jim was showing you, that is a supercell structure, and we could get those out of these little cells. That's the upper level energy that's keeping us wet and keeping us cloudy and cool, but that severe weather all spreads east, and it continues. Look at that into the overnight hours. Florida, Alabama, on into southern Georgia, and the flash flooding is already happening in numerous counties. We're going to see a lot more of it with up to